Hello, BookTube. I've got another MegaStuff video for you here, a collection of little bits and pieces that aren't big enough to fit in a video of their own. And if you feel tempted to say, boy, oh boy, you got a lot of MegaStuff in you, don't you? Well, you wouldn't be the first person to say that. And of course, the first thing we must start with is babies. I put out a call a while ago for pictures of your Shakespeares, because September is the month of ShakeTube, a mighty BookTube event. And I mentioned that it would be great if you included your dogs with your Shakespeares so that I could see them too. And despite a disconcerting proportion of cat pictures and some rats as well, there have been a number of great dog pictures, and I wanted to show you the latest batch of those today, including this birthday baby. Look at that. I think the sender said 10 years old. Oh, look at that. And then here's another, I assume from the outfit, that this is also a birthday baby. I don't think there are enough doggy treats in the world to get Frida to put on an outfit like that. I don't think she'd do it for a second. And this is Sage. I'm told that he's no longer with us, but I'm told that despite his fierce appearance and a fierce bark, he was a big puddle of loving goo. I believe it, definitely. Sure was a handsome dog, wasn't he? And big too, a big dog. There was also, let me get to the next. Yes, this sender said that a coworker brought in this dog. Can you imagine getting any work done if that little dog was in your office? Look at how cute that is. Ooh. But I wanted to culminate today. Let me make sure I haven't missed anybody. I don't want to miss any babies. I want to culminate today with 3 pictures of Ruby, because Ruby is absolutely beautiful. Here is Ruby chewing on a treat. She is a pink-nosed pit bull, one of those things with big sledgehammer heads. Oh my God, if you haven't been smooched by such an animal, you are missing the mother of all smooching experiences. And here is this is one of the few pictures I got that's actually adhering to the original deal. This is Ruby sleepily contemplating a complete Shakespeare. A very nice looking complete Shakespeare. But I want to finish up with the quintessential dog picture of the day. Another example. Like I mentioned yesterday, I don't think it's any coincidence that these are all pit bulls. Like I mentioned yesterday, this picture pretty much epitomizes why cats disdain and dislike dogs. Look at that. Look at the eyes. I must have laughed for 20 minutes when I saw that. That is my people in a nutshell. And it's not what cats like to do. It's not what they like to see. So that is Ruby. That is poor little pink-nosed Ruby. And that is our parade of babies for today. I also have a couple of updates. One is the tedious closet saga. I have a long, narrow closet in this room. A number of you have been bombarding me with ideas for what to do with it, because I've announced that I'm going to close it off. I'm going to put long-term possessions, not junk, but long-term possessions that I don't frequently look at, but that I don't want to get rid of, in there. And then I'm going to close it off and put a bookcase in front of the door. And a number of you, and it was kind of funny, it's been kind of funny, a number of you come from or have living arrangements now with far less closet space than you want, and you're wailing at the idea that I'm locking off a closet. It's a big thing. It's tall and long. And a number of you are saying, no, anything but that. Don't close it off. There must be some use you can put to it. But I've racked my brains, and I have tapped you all for ideas as well. I was originally going to refit it as a reading nook, put down pillows and blankets. It's nice and quiet in there. I was going to put hanging plants and a curtain across the doorway, but Frida won't go in there. She's just not interested. She's not afraid. She just doesn't. She's not interested. She doesn't want to be in there. The places where we already hang out are fine by her, and she would need to go in there, or I wouldn't. What kind of a reading nook would that be? She has to be with me for it to be a reading nook. So that didn't work, and nothing else works. So one of you suggested, well, could you put bookcases in there? I've tried. Even the thinnest bookcases, narrowest bookcases that I have are too thick, so that I could put them in there. I could line them across one wall, and I could fill them with books, but I couldn't browse those books comfortably. There wouldn't be any way to do it. I don't fit sideways if the bookcases are in there sideways. So that won't work. I don't think there's anything I can do. I think that my original plan is the right one, which is just to close it off, and that led to a bombardment of emails. I leave my email in every video, since you can email me about anything that you feel like, and who knew that in response to something I said yesterday, I was going to get 45 emails from my sainted ma, who's no longer with us. She's been pushing up daisies forever. But nevertheless, it felt that way, because yesterday I made the mistake of saying that most of the steps involved in clearing, organizing, and closing that closet I could do myself, even though they require fairly gruntish heavy lifting if I only do them in installments, if I'm nice and gentle, if I don't try to overdo it. And that did not go over well. I got lots and lots of emails from people saying, no, don't do that. Don't do that at all. It'd be one thing if you had no access to brawny help, but you do. So wait. Don't overstress yourself. So I'm feeling a little bit henpecked. I'm feeling a little bit mother hen that I can't even begin to do that when my boys will get it done in 20 minutes and they'll be back on Monday. So all I have to do is wait. That's all. It's just I've got a plan in mind now. I know exactly what I want to do. I am now 100% convinced that that thing needs to be walled off, and that a bookcase, or more than one bookcase, needs to come into this room and go in its place. And that makes me eager to just get it done. And I should just control that. I will just control that. And that is a tiny other side note that some of you may not follow me on Instagram, but so you may not be aware of this. That sneeze was the bean. The aforementioned Frida Bean just gave a mighty sneeze down there on the floor. Oh, did you get something up your nose? Oh, I've been talking about you. You ruined my plans. If you went into that closet, then I would have a reading nook right now. But no. Most of my beagles would have followed me anywhere. If they saw that I was laying back in there and comfortable, they'd have said, okay, well, then we're going to lay back in here and be comfortable. That's the signal that it's okay. But this dog has ideas of her own. So that's not going to work. But anyway, I took the bean out for a walk this morning, and we found another bookcase. This is the third time in 3 weeks. Once a week now, I am going out on a dog walk and finding a bookcase that someone has left out on the sidewalk as trash. This one is really sturdy. It's really heavy. Talk about mother hennish emails. I had no one to get it back here except myself. I had to just lug it back here. Fortunately, it wasn't far. So when I found it, I thought, well, don't go on the walk and then circle around to it when you get back, because it won't be here. Instead, bring it back to the house now and then commence your walk. So I did that, but I could have used a muscular young weightlifter right at that moment. So I have yet another bookcase. And this one is really solid. It's one of those kinds that has a really solid wooden frame, and the shelves are not attached. They flop up and down. So it's easy to remove them, but I think the really sturdy frame means that I could probably stack a bookcase on top of this one and not worry about it. And that's probably what I'll do right here in this room, or not me. Once I have access to muscular teenagers, then I will just direct tote that barge, lift that bale, and get it all done in 20 minutes. It's a little bit antsy for me when I know exactly what I want, and I have to wait. For most of my ute, I would not have had to wait. I would have just done the work myself, but I will. I will wait. And I will show you a picture of the bookcases in front of that closed closet when it's all done. And then the next thing we'll do for this MegaStuff video is mail. Because I got mail. We can go through it. It's some mail packages. But there were also a couple of envelopes. And I opened both of them because I was looking for a checky poo, and I got a checky poo. I wasn't 100% sure that one would come today, but I kind of saw it's a good editor. He pays attention to his accounts, so I thought there's a likelihood that this will come, instead of usually in the freelance market you just wait forever to get paid. You can't say anything about it, or it's a mental note. Believe you me, there are plenty of editors out there who, if it's been 6 months and you haven't been paid, and you email them a very friendly email and say, oh, by the way, I just happened to notice that it's been 6 months since my piece ran, and I'm wondering there's any movement from payroll to cut me a check. Believe you me, despite the enormous prevalence of women in book editor roles, there are still some men. There is a chance, in other words, that a perfectly friendly and reasonable email like that will put you in someone's black book forever. So you can't send that email. If you're a freelancer, you can't do it. The only time I've ever done it is when a rather large check was a year late, and my emails on the subject were being ignored. It's one thing if you return an email with, gee, I'll look right into it, or something like that, to buy yourself time, or because you can't be bothered. But to ignore emails from someone whose piece generated you a lot of traffic, when it's a substantial amount of money, that is very much different. And I waited a long time with that and finally wrote a rather stern email. I made the mental calculus in my head. I just said, well, yeah, this could lose you future gigs with these people, but you don't have anything with them now, including an outstanding balance. So there comes a point when you're not going to lose anything by doing that. So I did, and that got the result, but I almost never do that. So in a case like this, I wouldn't do it. I would have waited forever, but it came today and I opened it. But before I opened that one, I opened another envelope because I thought it might be that, and it wasn't. Instead, it was a present from one of you. An incredible present. Tasseled bookmarks. I've mentioned many times, you probably see if you really study the background here. I love bookmarks, but I love bookmarks with tassels most of all. And somebody sent me these. I don't know if these were store-bought or if you made them, whoever you are. But they're incredible. They're DC Comics bookmarks with tassels. And they wrap all the way around. See, that is a cover to Aquaman. That is a Nick Cardy cover to an old issue of Aquaman that has Aquaman and Aqualad on the cover with a tassel. And that's all that the bookmark is. Then we have one for Swamp Thing. That is Bernie Wrightson's artwork for Swamp Thing. With the swamp creature, Alec Desmond, just rising out of the swamp. And also for the big two. There's one for Batman. This is Detective Comics. That is a Neil Adams cover with a giant Batman standing athwart Gotham City facing a giant man-bat character, Dr. Langstrom, who gives himself a serum that turns him into a half-man, half-bat creature. And Neil Adams is a genius of a color illustrator. At least he was, once upon a time, a genius of a cover illustrator. He's a little bit crazy as an artist now. Still working. 50 years later. Still working. But this is... I read this issue. I've had it many times. And, of course, Action Comics, starring Superman. This is also a Neil Adams cover, inked by, I believe, Kurt Swan. And this is an Action Comics issue that I do still have. I own this issue. I loved it. And there you have it wrapping around. Superman is vaulting up away from Metropolis, and I don't know if you can make it out on this video, but the Metropolis on the cover of this issue is a photograph. This was a time that was done a couple of times. Marvel used to do it all the time, including with interior art. But DC tried this for a couple of Superman issues where they superimposed an illustration over a photograph of the city itself rather than a drawing. Neil Adams did a bunch of Superman covers right around the time of this issue that are all really good. This was an ill-advised time in Superman's history where the writer was trying to make him more relatable and chose the way that unimaginative writers, this writer is particularly imaginative, but it was a lazy moment. Anybody can have a lazy moment. He chose the way to make Superman relatable that writers almost always choose, and it's a dumb way, and that is to make him physically weaker. As if the ability to juggle planets made him unrelatable. It's a dumb idea. It's a dumb conception of the character. Fortunately, this writer didn't push it too hard. And it didn't work, and it didn't last for long. It never does. Periodically, a writer will come along and say, well, the problem with Superman is that he's too powerful. So we need to jury-rig some kind of plot device to make him weaker, and that way he'll become a fan favorite. No, not at all. The key isn't to weaken him. It's to find his humanity, even in his godlike levels of power. And most of the great writers of Superman have done that. And now I have just a suite of DC Comics bookmarks. Perfect for DC Comics collected editions and graphic novels. And it came with a note. It came with a little note saying, small token of my appreciation for all the inspiration, knowledge, and entertainment you have provided me and so many others. And I want to say, when I get a note like this, of course, first of all, thank you, because this is incredible. That is just incredible. I will use the daylights out of these things. But also, I want to point out, I want to remind you of what I always say on this channel, which is that the gratitude is all mine. I'm the one who's getting the fun of talking to you multiple times every day about tedious things. So this is yet another present. I know I said don't send me a book. I'm still getting lots of presents, whether it's MegaStuff Oreos or toys for Frida, or these things. I don't know what to do about that. I assure you, the gratitude is all mine. Anyway, then we've got some mail. I thought we'd wrap up with some mail. A package and a couple of boxes. And we'll see what we have for a Saturday mail haul. I don't think there'll be anything else after this. Okay, what have we got here? This comes out in early September. It's a finished copy. This is called Self-Portrait with Russian Piano by Wolf Wondraschek. Translated from God knows what, probably German, by Marshall Yarbrough. Self-Portrait with Russian Piano by Wolf Wondraschek. That is the last name. Wondraschek. I want to be called Wolf Wondraschek. So what is this? A legendary literary figure who initiated a one-man beat generation in his native Germany. Okay, the author tells the story of a man looking back on his life in an honest portrait of the artist as an old man. Favorably reviewed by Kirkus and Publishers Weekly. And the author, Wolf Wondraschek, was born in 1943 in Rudolstadt, Germany, and studied literature and philosophy at Heidelberg, Göttingen, and Frankfurt. His vast body of work comprises novels, collections of poems, short stories, essays, reportage, radio plays, and he lives in Vienna. Good Lord. Okay. I confess, probably I shouldn't admit it now, considering that biography, but I confess I've never heard of this person. This is yet another. This is at least 300 now. I have no idea what the actual number is. It's enormous. This is yet another work in translation for 2020, which has been absolutely suffused with works in translation. I do, though some of you may know, I do year's best and worst lists for Open Letters Review for my literary blog Steve Reads. I do it every year, and it is definitive. It is absolutely rollicking. It is the definitive evaluation of the U.S. market for the year in question in the 15 or so genres that I read. And one of those genres is literature and translation. And so there have been some years, where it wasn't hard to fill out a top 10 list. And this year, the main problem is going to be narrowing it down to 10. I've had hundreds and hundreds of works in translation so far. So that's our first book, Self-Portrait with Russian Piano. Then we have our first box here. Let's see what we have here. You're not interested, Bean? No? You're just laying there? You're not even going to jump up for your fans? They've already seen you, but they'd like to see you again, I'm sure. What have we got here? Oh, some sort of invoice. Gross, we don't need an invoice. Hey, baby! How you doing? Want to see your fans again? Hmm? I keep telling them that you don't ever wander far from me. And you don't. You don't ever wander far from me. I don't know that they believe it, though, but you don't. She doesn't ever wander far from me. Oh, okay, great. Oh, fantastic. Did not know this was coming. I don't seem to have a pug sheet, but that's all right. You're going to know this author. This is Walter Mosley, the author of the Easy Rollins novels. This is The Awkward Black Man, a collection of stories, a collection of short stories. You can't make it out. It's got deckled edges, a nice stately volume here, with lots of praise for him just in general on the back. No praise for this particular book. What have we got here? Best-selling author Walter Mosley has proven himself a master of narrative tension, both with his extraordinary fiction and gripping writing for television. This volume collects 17 of Mosley's most accomplished short stories to display the full range of his remarkable talent. He presents distinct characters as they struggle to move through the world in each of these stories. Heroes who are awkward, nerdy, self-defeating, self-involved, or, on the whole, odd. He overturns the stereotypes that corral black main characters and paints a subtle, powerful portrait of each of these unique individuals. Okay, great. Well, where, I'm wondering, did these stories originally appear? Is that gonna? Are they gonna tell me? You really should tell me that in your copyright page. But you don't. Don't tell me that. Does the author tell me that? Maybe Walter Mosley himself will tell me that in his acknowledgments. No, not a word from the author. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know where these originally appeared, but it doesn't matter. I also don't have a date for it, but that's easy to find. So that's 2 finished copies and a collection of short stories. I'll dig into that this weekend. Because as I've mentioned many times, my mail hauls are often my TBRs, and my book hauls, my used book hauls are often my TBRs because I'm reading constantly when I'm not yattering to you. Then we have the last one, another box, fairly heavy thing. This is packaged to a fairly well. Why is that, I wonder? I wonder why. It's packaged very heavily. Publishers tend not to do that. So could this be another present? It had bloody well better not be. 2 presents in one video is you people going a little too far, don't you think? Considering that this is probably the most tedious channel on BookTube, 2 presents in one video would probably be too far. So, well, this is definitely not a publisher. Yes, I'm squeeing, baby. Oh my. You must be mind readers. You people must be mind readers. Okay, first of all, I said don't send me a book. Don't do it. I'm looking the other way because you sent me tasseled bookmarks of DC superheroes, but I've always said don't send me a book. I can hunt for my own books now. Now that shops are back open, at least for now, I can hunt for my own books. But I do still watch books when you all do book hauls and whatnot. And I saw a book just the other day on Jason Harrigan's channel. And I saw it and I thought, ooh, me wanty. and it was extra sharp. The wanting was extra sharp because I didn't have the complacency of looking at the book and saying, well, that was the UK edition, but there'll be a US edition probably next year and I can get it then. I looked at it instead and thought, that very likely won't have a US edition. One of you must have maybe you saw that video and you saw the subject of this book and immediately thought of me or whatever, but this is beyond the pale, although I'm not giving it back. This is by Jeremy Lewis. This is Penguin Special. This is the story of Alan Lane, the founder of Penguin Books and the man who changed publishing forever. As Jason pointed out in his video, that subtitle is not publisher hyperbole. It's absolutely true. He did change publishing forever. And you can see, I mean, it's set up to look like a Penguin classic there, and you can see why. This is, I believe this is Penguin Press, right? Yeah, this is Penguin Books, but for the UK. And this is about Alan Lane. This is about him and his brother and the firm that they started and a revolution in publishing, yes, but a revolution in publishing that mainly started in the UK. So you could see why I looked at this on Jason's channel and gazed at it from afar and thought, oh, well, that might not ever have a US edition. And here it is. Whoever sent this, I mean, is there a note anywhere in here? Is there a note at all? No, there is no note at all. Well, I'm going to use one of these to go in here, but you shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have done this. It's one book that I admittedly want. I admittedly will gobble this up. If these things go provisionally onto a TBR for this weekend, this thing goes on the TBR for this afternoon. So this is an urgent thing. So yes, I do love it. I am incredibly grateful, but this, I know this is a weird thing for a YouTuber to say, but this unending stream of gifts really has to stop. You people have better things to do with your money. and this note tells me why, and it's a fundamental misunderstanding. I'm the one who's grateful. I'm the one who's getting something out of this by having someone to talk to about all this stuff all day. But I'm not giving it back. Oh my. Well, whoever you are, thank you so much. Oh my. And look at this. You've got the inside papers there are all the different appearances that the Penguin Colophon has had over the years. Sometimes fat and stately, other times a little more natural. I wonder if the really... well, I guess this is sort of a cleaned up version. Somebody online mentioned that the years from when the Penguin colophon looked like that really have some explaining to do as to what was going on over there. Okay, thank you. I'm going to gobble this right up. So those are our books. Penguin Special, good Lord. Talk about a book that comes right into this room. So whoever sent this, you hit a hole in one. That's just incredible. And if you sound off in the comments field, first of all, if you want your identity to be known, but if you found it that way, if you saw it on Jason's channel and thought, oh my, it's great that Jason has that book, but Steve should have that book. I don't know about you people. I just don't. And then we have The Awkward Black Man, a collection of short stories by Walter Mosley. Non-genre short stories, so not in the mystery or thriller genre. Can't wait. Absolutely fascinating. And then this, I admit, there's an element of guilt involved in this thing, and it's tiny, so it won't take any time at all to read. This is Self-Portrait with Russian Piano by st.donoghue. These are perfect recipients. They don't have pub sheets, so they're perfect recipients for my new bookmarks. So that is our MegaStuff video for today. It ended up being an awkward amount of incredible generosity on your part. But I want to end with one last note, one last bit of stuff that I haven't mentioned in a while, so some of you might forget or whatever, which is that I have been granted a podcast by the good folks at the Cedarburg Public Library in Wisconsin. And it's a rollicking good time. The podcast, it's a work in progress so far. It's very much early days. My producer always tells me, it's early days. You're still finding out what you want to do. But the numbers are good. The numbers are good for listening. Those of you who listen to podcasts might want to hear it anyway. Right now, the ways that you'll notice that it's a work in progress are two main ways. One is that due to me just not having it lodged in my mental inventory, sometimes we skip a day. And that's very bad. That shouldn't happen. And two, another equal telltale sign that this is a fairly new thing, still finding its feet, is that the episodes will wildly vary in length, from 7 minutes to 35 minutes or more. And that needs to change as well. And they will. I'm sure that my producer is right. I'm sure that this will even out and become whatever it is. But I'd love it if you listen to it, because the more downloads, the more listenership it gets, the higher profile it has, which is always nice. So I leave the link to it in the block of information that I give in every video. I cut and paste, if I remember to do it, I cut and paste a block of information. So my email, for you to email me, my Twitter, if you want my wild schizophrenic backing and forthing between book-related news, sassing people, and political rants, my Instagram, which I really need to use more, but I absolutely love it. It's such a ball. All that sort of stuff is down below, and the last thing that I put in that block is a link to the list of episodes of the Steve Donoghue Show on the Cedarburg Public Library's website. I think it's on their website, but that link is there. Feel free to click on it because I would love to know what you think. But anyway, that's your MegaStuff video for today. The last bit of stuff, of course, is purely technical, which is this is filmed on that iPhone that I unpacked yesterday. So I'm hoping that it's indistinguishable from all the footage that I have. I've shot thousands of videos on either an iPhone 6 or an iPhone 7S. I'm hoping that this is perfectly serviceable because that's kind of why I got this phone. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.